Have you ever wondered how one man's ambition can shape the world? Let's dive into the life of Alexander the Great, a man whose legacy still resonates today. Born in the year 356 before Christ in the city of Pella, Macedonia, Alexander was the son of King Philip II and Queen Olympias. His birth was not ordinary, it was the birth of a conqueror, a leader, a man who would forever etch his name in the annals of history. In his formative years, he was molded by the teachings of the greatest mind of that era, Aristotle. It was under his guidance that Alexander developed a keen interest in philosophy, medicine, and scientific investigation, elements that later influenced his approach to leadership and warfare. Thus the stage was set for a young man, tutored by the greatest minds and born into royalty, to embark on a journey that would reshape the world. Alexander's rise to power was as dramatic as his life would prove to be. In the year 336 before the Common Era, a young man barely out of his teens found himself thrust into the role of king. This was Alexander, son of Philip II of Macedonia, who ascended to the throne following his father's assassination. Inheriting a kingdom on the brink of chaos, Alexander's first test was to secure his rule. And secure it he did. With a blend of diplomatic tact and military might, he swiftly quelled rebellions and silenced any opposition. Macedon's aristocracy, initially skeptical of this young, unproven ruler, soon found themselves awed by his charisma and strategic acumen. It was evident that Alexander was no ordinary king, but his ascension to the throne was merely the first step. Alexander had inherited not just a kingdom, but also his father's dream of conquering the mighty Persian Empire. To prepare for this daunting task, he embarked on a series of military campaigns across the Balkans and Greece. These early campaigns served a dual purpose, to test and strengthen his fledgling army, and to secure the home front before setting out on his grand campaign. Alexander's military genius was apparent even in these early campaigns. He was a master of the battlefield, using innovative tactics to outmaneuver his enemies. His leadership style was also unique. He led from the front, sharing the dangers and hardships with his men. This endeared him to his soldiers, who were willing to follow him to the ends of the earth. By the age of 22, Alexander had solidified his rule over Macedonia, and had a battle-hardened army at his command. But he was not content to rest on his laurels. His eyes were set on a larger prize, the vast, rich, and powerful Persian Empire. With the Macedonian throne secured, Alexander set his sights on new horizons. As Alexander's gaze turned east, a series of epic conquests began. A young man barely in his 20s, Alexander led his Macedonian forces against the colossal Persian Empire. His audacious ambition was matched only by his strategic genius and indomitable spirit. First, he set his sights on Asia Minor, where he faced the Persian forces at the Battle of Granicus. Against overwhelming odds, Alexander's strategic brilliance led his forces to a stunning victory, opening the gates of Asia Minor to his troops. But Alexander's ambitions were far from satisfied. He marched his troops further east, to the heartland of the Persian Empire. His most notable victories were at the battles of Issus and Gaugamela, where he faced the Persian king Darius III himself. The Battle of Issus, fought in the narrow coastal strip of southern Turkey, saw Alexander's forces heavily outnumbered. But his tactical acumen turned the tables, and the Persians were routed. The Battle of Gaugamela, however, was the true turning point. Despite facing an army far larger and more diverse than his own, Alexander's superior strategy and leadership led to a decisive victory. King Darius III fled, leaving his empire in the hands of the young Macedonian. In the wake of these victories, Alexander's empire grew exponentially. From Egypt in the west to India in the east, his rule extended over a vast and diverse array of cultures and peoples. He established cities, spread Greek culture, and forged a new Hellenistic civilization. Yet, it wasn't just about conquest for Alexander. He sought to integrate the cultures and peoples of his empire, fostering a sense of unity and mutual respect. His leadership was not only about military might, but also about wisdom, tolerance, and visionary governance. In a series of stunning victories, Alexander the Great had toppled the Persian Empire and stood as the ruler of a vast new empire. His name echoed through the ages, and his legacy continues to inspire millions today. His conquest marked the beginning of a new era, an era of cultural exchange and integration, an era that changed the course of history forever. Alexander's death in 323 BC was as sudden and dramatic as his life. With his untimely demise in Babylon, the vast empire he had built was suddenly left without a clear successor. The empire stretched from Greece to Egypt, from Persia to India, and was the most expansive the world had ever seen. Yet it was not destined to last. The power vacuum left in the wake of Alexander's death led to the wars of the Diadochi, where his most trusted generals and advisors fought for control. The empire was eventually divided among his former generals, Ptolemy in Egypt, Seleucus in Persia and Mesopotamia, and Antigonus in Asia Minor. These new Hellenistic kingdoms, while not as expansive as Alexander's empire, continued to exert considerable influence in the Mediterranean and Near East for centuries. But the legacy of Alexander the Great was not limited to territorial changes alone. His conquests had profound cultural implications. He spread Greek culture, language and ideas throughout his empire, a phenomenon known as Hellenization. This fusion of Greek and Eastern cultures gave rise to the Hellenistic era, a period marked by significant advancements in science, philosophy, and the arts. Alexander's influence also extended to the political landscape. His style of leadership, charismatic and absolute, became a model for future monarchs. His vision of a cosmopolitan empire where all subjects, regardless of their ethnicity or social status, were treated with fairness and respect, was revolutionary for its time. Furthermore, Alexander's exploits were deeply woven into the fabric of literature and popular culture. His life and deeds have been the subject of countless stories, plays, and films, shaping our understanding of heroism and leadership. In the end, it's clear that Alexander's impact was far-reaching and enduring. His empire may have fragmented, his dreams of a unified world may have been dashed, but the mark he left on the world was indelible. Though Alexander's empire crumbled after his death, his legacy lived on, influencing the course of history for centuries to come. The echoes of Alexander's life and conquests are still felt today. As we navigate through the corridors of modern civilization, it's impossible to ignore the imprints left by this Macedonian conqueror. His sweeping influence has shaped the world as we know it, from the spread of Hellenism to the formation of modern nations. In the realm of culture, Alexander's reign sparked the Hellenistic period, a time that witnessed a remarkable synthesis of Greek, Persian, Egyptian, and Indian cultures. This fusion of diverse traditions led to advancements in art, literature, and philosophy. The Hellenistic period brought forth the Stoic and Epicurean philosophies, which continue to influence contemporary thought. The fusion of cultures also led to the creation of a common language, Koine Greek, which became the lingua franca of the Eastern Mediterranean and the Middle East for many centuries, and facilitated the spread of ideas and trade. In the sphere of politics, Alexander's legacy is equally profound. His vast empire, stretching from Greece to Egypt and as far east as India, paved the way for the rise of large, unified states, moving away from the city-state model that had previously dominated the Greek world. His influence can be seen in the formation of many modern nations, from the Seleucid Empire in the Middle East to the Ptolemaic Kingdom in Egypt. Furthermore, his method of incorporating conquered people into his army and administration, rather than subjugating them as mere subjects, was a novel approach that has influenced strategies of governance and military organization throughout history. In the field of exploration, Alexander's unquenchable thirst for discovery inspired a tradition of exploration and knowledge-seeking that continues to this day. His expeditions opened up the West to the rich cultures and knowledge of the East, setting the stage for future explorers and the eventual age of globalization. From a single man's ambition, a legacy was born that continues to shape our world. Such was the life and legacy of Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great, a name that continues to inspire and intrigue us. Born in the heart of Macedonia, he ascended to power at a tender age and went on to carve one of the largest empires in the annals of history. His conquests were not just about territorial expansion, but they also marked the dawn of a new era of cultural exchange and intellectual growth. His legacy is not confined to the pages of history books. It reverberates in the very fabric of our modern civilization, in our art, our culture, and our collective consciousness. From the sun-baked pyramids of Egypt to the bustling streets of modern-day Istanbul, his influence is felt and remembered. In the grand tapestry of human history, Alexander's thread is vibrant and indelible. His life, his conquests, and his legacy remain a testament to the indomitable spirit of human ambition and achievement. In the annals of history, few names shine as brightly or echo as loudly as Alexander the Great.